Hi everybody, TJ Mac Vintage Cards and Nostalgia here, and in today's video I'm going to be doing a few VRs for the channels Clemente Collector, 4 Soft Corners, and Picker JimS. But before I do that, I want to thank John, Wade Boggs fan, and Don from Don's Field of Dreams for having me on their show, Two Guys, One Hobby. I really enjoyed it. It was nice to have a good conversation about collecting. We discussed themes to collecting, different approaches, and then I touched on also some of my collecting background and how I go about doing my displays. So, real nice conversation, and I was appreciative to be asked to join them. So, I'm going to put a link down to that video below if you would like to take some time to watch it. Now, Theo from the channel Clemente Collector, he's a great guy, and he's having an awesome contest where he wants us to show off some cheap slabs. Now, I must admit, I don't look at any of the slabs in my collection as cheap slabs, but rather as cards that have a place within my collection. I'm very careful about what I buy. That being said, I get where Theo's going with this by saying there are some pretty cool graded cards out there for under $30. So let's have some fun and I'll show some off. Now, being that my collection is based on themes that tell the story of the sports I collect, I thought it would be cool to show some of my lower cost graded cards and how they fit right in with my overall collection. I know that I'm right in the sweet spot with my collecting when I get excited to get cards, whether they're a $10 or $150 card. It really doesn't make a difference to me because I'm at the point where I just love every purchase that I'm making and I really look forward to what I'm getting in the mail. As you know, I love cards that have artistic appeal through the imagery, design, and or vibrant colors. Now, the 55 Bowman football set contains one cardboard masterpiece after another. I enjoy adding examples that most importantly showcase the rich and dazzling array of colors. And a great example of this is this card of Packers halfback Floyd Reed. Nicknamed Breezy in high school due to his quickness, the gold on this card dominates, but the white that outlines the image draws the eye to Reed, who is living up to his nickname as he makes a cut for the cameraman. Check out the Kelly green numbers, socks, and look at the bottom of those vintage black cleats. Such a marvelous image that I was able to add for my collection for only $17. Next up, you have the 1970 Topps Rod Gilbert. This is a wonderful design that does a fantastic job of capturing the athlete as the star they were. Gilbert was a great right winger who scored over 400 goals and was nearly a point-a-game player, which is phenomenal in hockey. He was known as Mr. Ranger. He was one of the biggest stars of the 1970s and was even painted by famed artist Andy Warhol as part of his Athlete series in 1979. This card with the bright green and those spotlights shining on the photo of the handsome Gilbert capture Mr. Ranger at his best, and I got this card for about $17. Next you have this 1965 Topps Ken Boyer. This is another great example of where the card design really does a great job bringing out the photograph. Now, Boyer, I believe, is clad in his away jersey, the gray jersey rather than the white home jersey, but it almost looks white on this card, and the navy blue cap looks black, and it matches the inset color on the bottom. You have the pennant that coordinates nicely with the red logo, numbers, and undershirt. Then you have the yellow that further accents the card. I love the look of this card when I saw it in person, and this was $20 well spent. These are just three fantastic examples. Reed was not a Hall of Famer and not even really a star of his day, but just a beautiful design, which is one of the focus areas of my collection. Rod Gilbert was a Hall of Fame right winger, and then you have Ken Boyer, who was really a superstar player of his day, and as I've mentioned before, should receive more Hall of Fame consideration. But this is the type of focus I have in my collecting, are these types of players and the designs and the imagery. Now the Ken Boyer also goes nicely with my 65 Topps Lou Brock and Bob Gibson. And they were the three of the big stars of the 64 season for the Cardinals that ultimately led to a World Series championship as they beat the Yankees in 7 games. Now, Boyer was the National League MVP in 1964. This is Lou Brock's first card with the Cardinals. He joined the team in 64, but was depicted on a Cubs card that year. And these so-called cheap cards, like the Ken Boyer, really add depth to my collection. And as I'm showing here, they fit in with multiple themes that make my collection unique to me. Next, I want to do a response to Joe at 4 Sharp Corners. Joe is another great guy in this community that has an awesome collection that he's putting together. He's quite the set builder. He's working on a 1953 Topps set, 1976 Topps set, as well as many other of the vintage Topps issues. So I just wanted to take the time to give him a response. I will leave a link to both Joe and Theo's channels down below, as well as Picker Jim. Joe had asked us to do a showcase of celebratory cards. Now, in keeping with my themes, I have an example from each of the sports I collect. I wanted to show a game, season, and career celebration of the 3 sports that I collect. First, we have the 1973 Topps Steve Garvey. Here he is after presumably hitting a home run. You have Dodgers first baseman Wes Parker greeting him at the plate and blocking him in the photo. And Parker would retire after the 1972 season. Now it is these types of photos and experiments with action photography that really sets the 73 Topps set apart from the other sets around that time. And I just enjoy that about this set. And you really do get some odd type photographs that don't really capture the player individually, but more so with the other players in the shot taken from the same aspect. I just find that interesting. Next, we have the 1974 Topps card number 1 of O.J. Simpson, which celebrates his achievement of being the first running back to rush for 2,000 yards, as he finished with 2,003. What is amazing is he did it in just 14 games. Now get a load of the colorful inset border that highlights the photo of a serious-looking O.J. tightly gripping the ball. Now O.J. was known for his smile back in those days, but not in this photo. You gotta love the bright blue sky behind him as well. And on the back of the card, it details his rushing totals for each game on his journey to breaking the 2,000-yard mark. I just think that's a nice added touch to this card that really made it appeal to me when I added it to my collection. It would be very difficult to tell the story of 1970s football without having a card like this. The third card is a 1977 O-Pee-Chee issue for the World Hockey Association, the WHA, which is a league I'm fond of, and I have several cards from these issues. They made cards from 1974 to 1977. So here you have Gordie Howe being shown here in his Houston Aeros uniform, even though it says he's now with the New England Whalers. And this card commemorates his 1,000th goal that he scored during the 1976 season. In his 30th season, the 49-year-old became the first player to score 1,000 goals. Now this included the regular season, the playoffs, in both the National Hockey League and World Hockey Association. It speaks to the achievement on the back of the card. You can see it there in the English and the French translations. I just think this is a beautiful looking card. It is so 70s with the bright yellow, just the way the script is done. It's got all those stars. It looks like something you'd see out of the music show of the day, Midnight Special. Just a really cool looking card. And finally, Picker JimS is having a contest where he wants us to send him a few cards, which I'm going to do, to give to a winner. And then he's also asked us to shout out a few channels with under 300 subs. Now, I decided to shout out 5 awesome channels with under 100 subs to give them some exposure. And I'd rather do that and take a little time to talk about them rather than just doing several channels. And the first that I'm going to do is D's collection. He has 60 subscribers when I made this video, and I'm showing here a 57 Topps card because that's what I think of when I think of his channel. And Andy seems like a great guy who's very supportive of others in this community. He has a wonderful collection. He's building a 57 Topps set, all PSA graded, which again is why I'm showing this Unitas card. And then he recently showed a 57 Topps baseball set, as well as a variety of cool vintage cards and other items. So give his channel a look. And then next to him here is a buddy of mine, Tom, from Souvenir Programs here, which is the name of his channel. And he has 59 subs. Now, I selected the 61 Topps John Brody because he's very fond of those 60s and 70s 49ers teams. And Tom does a wonderful job in putting together short but informative videos, mostly about game programs from the 50s and early 60s that belonged to his father. He also is profiling players from an autograph book his father would have players sign when he was a kid. His videos are must-watch, and he does a really nice job putting them together. So please give him a look as well. The last three channels are first being Hammer 44, and I got a 1964 Topps Hank Aaron here to show what his interest is. He has 26 subscribers. His most recent video was about his visit to some local card stores where he picked up a lot of cool vintage baseball cards for great deals. What I like is it just wasn't Hall of Famers, but also some of the stars from that era. He also talks about why he picked up the cards, which I enjoy as well. And then next to him is a 69 Topps Roberto Clemente, and that's in recognition of the channel Right Field Collectibles. And he just showed a wonderful video of his favorite Roberto Clemente items. This guy's a big Clemente fan, as shown by his channel name, and he has some beautiful cards and other items as well. He has just 35 subscribers, so let's try to get him some more. And then the last channel I'm going to show here is, or talk about, is Rocket Rick 18 Sports Cards. And I'm going to put links to all these channels below. And I have here a 1950 Bowman Tommy Henrik. He's currently at 74 subscribers. And first off, I like that he sports a Yankees hat in many of his videos. And he's a longtime collector who decided to take the plunge into making content. He has a varied collection of vintage and modern, but he seems to lean more towards the vintage cards. He just did a 2-part video showing his 1950 Bowman baseball set, which is why I chose this card. So I hope everybody has a great Memorial Day weekend, and we'll talk again soon.